Welcome you all. We are here to discuss about the thermal stress. This class basically talks about the thermal stress, thermal straining, and how to evaluate the thermal stresses. And what is the need of to talk about the thermal stress? As we know, we have already discussed about the statically indeterminate structure. Whenever we say statically indeterminate structure, under this statically indeterminate structure, there are various varieties of the problems are existing within the statically indeterminate structure. And we have discussed during the discussion of statically indeterminate structure, out of all kind, one of the kind is called thermal stress, or due to temperature, or the temperature kind, or the temperature stress. If a structure which is unable to, if the number of unknowns are not equal to the number of equations, or sorry, the number of equations are not equal to the number of unknowns, or if the static equilibrium condition only is unable to give the solution of the any problem, is called a statically indeterminate structure. Then why the thermal stress? We thought if there is a necessity or it should be under the statically indeterminate structure. Is there happening like that? If so, then how it is happening, and where from we got this concept that thermal stresses should be counted under statically indeterminate structure? Because we know statically indeterminate structure, what it says, and what is the statically indeterminate structure, how it starts, all this we already discussed about that. I can give you some example, some of the example, a few example, how we'll differentiate the statically indeterminate structure, and how temperature stress will be called as the temperature, due to temperature, how this statically indeterminate kind of condition generates. We can discuss in that. Although there might be some of the cases might be like this, that means the mechanical loading will be there, as well as, because we know in a real life situation there will nowhere you will find a single kind of load, only mechanical load, only temperature load, only hydrogen load, or there might be every time we will have all different kind of loading is associated with any kind of structure. So then if it is so, in a real life condition, all the structures are under different kind of loading, and it also all the real life structures under statically indeterminate condition. So the automatically the temperature stress problem comes under that. It is one of the reason. Other reason what? Before going to the next region, we'll talk about what is thermal stress and how we calculate the thermal stress. Then what are the procedure to evaluate, and how you differentiate, and where from this concept come. Basically, I'm telling you one example. I'm just trying to give you one example. Let's say I'm having here, you can see it's a hacksaw blade. I'm showing you a hacksaw blade. That hacksaw blade is made up of a metallic material, conventional metallic material, and it is mostly the steel kind. It is not high speed steel. It's a similar kind of steel material, or mild steel kind of material. It's a class of steel material which is a conventional material, and we know steel having some linear thermal expansion. And what is again linear thermal expansion? I think I need not to explain again what is linear thermal expansion, and you please, I believe most of you know what is thermal expansion and why it is called a linear thermal expansion. That part we need not to explain over here, and I think most of you know. If you do not know, please get back to just see what is thermal expansion. Basically, thermal expansion shows the value, based on that we say the material is how much able to, if based on their thermal expansion, it is under, based on the, what we are going to use here now, based on the thermal expansion we will say, or will decide what kind of stresses are going to generate on that material. Based on the, that means if I'm having a copper material, if I'm having a aluminum, if I'm having a mild steel, if I'm having a different kind of material, different type of bronze, gun material, likewise all these different kind of material have different alpha. Based on the alpha, or based on the linear thermal expansion, we are going to decide the kind of stresses are going to develop. Although again, what is the kind of stresses, all this will come in between the discussion of the thermal stresses. So thermal stress basically talks about, if I'm applying, where from the stress comes, now I'll just add to that thermal. Stress comes if I am applying a load, any external load will be applied, then the body should be in a restrained condition or constrained condition. It should not be free. In a as per the mechanics of material concept, the material or the body has to be restrained. Then only a reactive force develops within the body. The resistive force per unit the resistive force for unit area or perpendicular area or perpendicular plane, it is going to develop the stresses. That means the resistive force per unit area will give you the resistance to the external loading, will give us the stress. Then what does it by the thermal stress? That is, we are talking about the normal or mechanical stress or mechanical loading or any kind. Again, we know thermal or temperature load is kind of body force which is passing throughout the volume, and mechanical force can be of, or mechanical force in generally a surface force. When I am applying a load on a body, you just see, if I apply a load, it may be a small amount or higher amount, based on that the deformation occurs. Now, if we also discussed during the discussion of the plane strain condition, plane stress condition, plane strain, if I'll say plane strain, then we say the plane strain condition, the strain will be 0, but the stresses cannot be equal to 0. That means the along the area, if I'll say if I'm applying a load on a body in along its length, so it is going to extend along its length, and the cross sectional area is going to change. If I don't want to, the cross sectional area has to be changed, so I need to have some forces over there, and externally I have to apply some forces, and that forces will clamp in such a way that a jigs and fixture will such a that then it will not allow the body to contract in that direction or to reduce in that direction. Now, how this the thermal stress occurs? Let's say if I'm having a metallic material, I'm putting on a frictionless surface, I'm hitting this body. If I'm going on hitting, we know whenever we'll apply a temperature, or whenever a metallic material, normal metallic material or non-metallic material also, any material which is having some conduction, or sorry, some conductivity, or some conductivity property, or some kind of if it has some conductivity properties, if I am going to hit the body, the throughout the volume, the every fiber line, the materials or the molecules on the fiber line, the molecules are get excited, and due to the excitement the molecules start flowing. When the molecules start flowing, it is going to elongate along their, either in right or left, or they are going to elongate along their length, or the line of the fiber line they are going to elongate, because the space between the molecules increases. If the space between the molecule increases, the total dimension of the structure is going to increase. If the total dimension of the structure is going to increase, then it is called free expansion. That means if I am hitting a body, the body is going to expand. It is called it is the procedure by which we say it's a free expansion. If it is free expansion, or the body is under free expansion, then there will be no stress will generate. In this case, the kind of example I am showing, then what to do? Then if I am having, let's say, this metallic material, it's a nail or a beam or what kind, it is fixed to any end, or it is nailed on a wall, and I'm hitting from one side, then this side of the material, or where the point it has been nailed, it is not allowed, the body is not allowed to move in that direction. Then the stresses, it will create some resistive force, because it is restricting the motion along this constant condition. Since it is restricting the motion, so it will create some resistive force, because it is every time it is trying to push inside that body. If it is every time trying to push, if it is unable to go in that direction, then it will start bending in this direction. If I am going on hitting, if I am increasing the hitting, so slowly the body or the material is going to bend in this direction by some other the form of the bending might be a different kind, but it will try to bend. You can try, you just nail a you take a nail and hammer it in the wall, and you start hitting in the from one side, it will start bending. You can find it will start bending. So that is called the kind this side. Then the thermal stress at this side, here you may not find some thermal stress, you will find some thermal stress over here. Is it every time true? If it is not, then how? And due to the construction of the material also, you may find some thermal stress without any restraint condition as well. So first point, what it says, thermal stress, if the free expansion is allowed, then we will not have a thermal stress. Any metallic material or non-metallic material or any kind of cases, if there is no, you are not allowing, or the body is not allowed to expand freely, that means there has to be restraint condition to have a thermal stress. Then it is not true for what, if the material is made in that way, that means if a single material, isotropic material, I could not have the similar kind, without restraint condition we may not find any thermal stress. Now I am showing you another case where it's a, you can, I have shown many times this beam, it's a composite beam, carbon fiber with epoxy material. I am going on heating because we know epoxy has a very less alpha, it's near about approaches to zero, or it's a negative. It's basically a non-conducting type of material. Since it's a not non-conducting type of material, but the carbon has a conductivity. So carbon has a better conductivity as compared to the alpha. The linear thermal expansion is a good linear thermal expansion. If it is under the heating condition, if it is going to be heated, so it is an assembly. We have discussed many times during the discussion of the mechanical statically indeterminate structure. Or else I can show you one more example also. You will see this pen. This pen is made up of it is also a metallic material, and other materials also attached to that. Some other material, plastic materials are also there. If I just open it, you have a different kind. You just see this one. This is the different material. It is made up of plastic. The back side of this is made up of plastic. The whole this refill is made up of some metallic material. Now it is in an assembly. You see, it is an assembly. I am starting heating this material either from this side or from this side, any point. Now the construction says itself, there is no external, you need not to have any external kind of constant is necessary. In between two different material, if they are not being made up of same material, then there is a chance of mismatch between the strain. When there is a chance of mismatch between the strain, to maintain the same length, the stress may develop. Because they, as in this case, the length is fixed. It is 25 centimeter, around 25 centimeter. The length of this material is, or the length of the beam is 25 centimeter material. And this 25 centimeter, the carbon has a conductivity if it is under the heat conduction, or if it is under the influence of environmental heat. So it will try to come out of this whole assembly. But epoxy has a negativity material. Sorry, alpha is very less. It in the order of 22.4 into 10 to the power minus 6, or less than that also. Exact value I didn't remember just now. So it is very less, what I know as per my understanding, and you also can verify that the alpha of the thermal coefficient, linear thermal coefficient of polymeric material, or particularly epoxy. Here it is Lapox. We have used, it has been used as a Lapox. So you can see it is very less, and is non-conducting kind. So it will not any effect on in temperature on that. But the other component of this, the same material will try to expand. If it will try to expand, then again it is along the line. If it is trying to expand, the crisscross, due to the crisscross behavior, that may change. So the junction, you may have some kind of stresses will develop, and that stress is nothing but the thermal stress. That means you may not have a restraint condition, you can have this thermal stress, because due to the manufacturing or due to the fabrication, that means two different metallic material if are joined with each other, two different metallic material, if they are joined with each other by means of welding, and they are under some kind of heating, or some kind of influence of heating, then there is a chance they will try to come up from the assembly. And this trying, that means the procedure by which they are trying to come up of the assembly, and to restrict that to come up from the assembly, to maintain that assembly, the stress which is going to develop due to the influence of the external temperature is nothing but the thermal stress. So that the same thing has been discussed in various form in the corresponding slides. Now temperature stress, which I have already explained, I need not to explain again what is thermal stress. It says when the temperature of the material change, its dimension change. The first explanation what we have discussed, when the temperature of the material will change, the temperature of the material, any material I am considering, the temperature of the material will change and it will try to change the dimension. If I will restrict the change in dimension, if I will prevent, there will be no dimension change or no free expansion is allowed, then the stress is developed. It's called the temperature stress. Otherwise, if it is free to expand, then there will be no temperature stress will develop, because if the strain will be there, then the stresses will not be there, like plane stress condition. If strain will not be there, or if we are not having, we don't want any strain, then a stress is going to develop. How to explain the same thing mathematically? The steps are given below. Let's say L is the length of the bar. This is the bar. I am considering the bar, and this is the length of the bar I have shown here. And it is under the influence of temperature delta T. Delta T means increase in length. Let's say the initial temperature is T, and the final or initial temperature, the original temperature, let's say I am considering as T0. Now the temperature has been increased to 5 degrees centigrade or 10 degrees centigrade or 20 degrees centigrade. Likewise, the T final minus T initial or T final minus T original will have is nothing but the delta T. If I put it is under the influence of the delta T change of temperature, then how to and the next part, which is the main region or the property by which the material is going to elongate, is nothing but the coefficient of thermal expansion. As I said earlier, in epoxy, since it is a non-conducting type of material, the alpha is very less. But in a conducting type of material, we will have some better alpha. Like if I am having a steel, instead of that, if I am having a copper, or instead of a steel, if I am having aluminum have a better alpha. It will try to expand a little bit more, and it is softer as well. So the soft material will have a better alpha. You will get to know all this. Just now we need not to discuss about that. And the Young's modulus also having some relation with the temperature. And we know if I am going on increasing the temperature, the molecular size or the molecular packing will be increasing, and due to the change in molecular package, the material becomes softer. Now, how to explain what are the mathematics behind the, if I know the length, if I know the delta T, if I know the alpha, then I can explain the strain or change in length. How to explain the change in length? The change in length is nothing but the alpha L delta T. Alpha L delta T will give me the change in length of the material. So alpha is the coefficient of thermal expansion, L is the length, and it is per degree centigrade. Alpha is equal to per degree centigrade, this is degree centigrade, and this is the L, initial length L, and when it is under the influence of alpha, under the influence of delta T, the change in length or change in the length of the material will be alpha L delta T. Now I got the change in length. If I know the change in length, I can find out the strain. Strain is change in length by original length. I can put the change in length by original length, and we know if initial length is L, so the final length will be L plus L alpha delta T. By putting final length of the material minus initial length divided by the initial length, I can get the strain, or the other way also I can do. And if I'll do in other way also, I can get the similar kind of, that means instead of alpha L delta T, I'll get 1 minus alpha delta T. I am not showing here. Let's say if I'll divide, this is the original length L, the final length L plus alpha L delta T minus L. L will be cancelled, so I'll have alpha L delta T, which is change in length delta L. Delta L by L, if I'll take, then L will be cancelled. I'll get the strain in change in length by original length. I can get the strain in this way, or in other. If I know the strain, then I can get the stress by multiplying Young's modulus of that material. That is one of the procedure. Other way also I can do in other way also. That means if I am interested to take the instantaneous length of that, instantaneous length if I take, then what will happen? Instead of alpha L delta T divided by instantaneous length of the final length, the true strain, engineering strain, in the engineering strain form I am going to get this one. In the true strain form, if I'll put, then I'll put alpha L delta T divided by the final length. If I'll put the final length, so 1 alpha delta T, so LL will be cancelled. I'll get alpha delta T divided by 1 plus alpha delta T. Then 1 plus alpha delta T and 1 minus alpha delta T, if I'll multiply in the below and the upper, I'll get, finally I'll get 1 minus alpha delta T only. and 1 minus alpha delta T. Why? Again, alpha is in the order, as I said, the order is 10 to the power minus 6. If I'll square it, then it is 10 to the power minus 12. And whatever the value of delta T is not having any influence on that. Again, if I'll add 2 with the 1 or I'll subtract with the 1, it is not going to have any value. So final, the value is very, very small. So it will neglected. So I'll get 1 minus alpha delta T or alpha delta T again. I can go by engineering strain or true strain anyway. For within the elastic limit, it will not have any effect on this particular. If I am going for a plastic zone or plastic deformation, then temperature might have some issue on that. Till yet, we are talking about only the engineering strain or within the elastic limit only. If I know the strain, I am interested about the temperature stress. I am not interested about the temperature strain, but temperature stress can be calculated from the temperature strain only. If so, then the stress can be multiplied, or stress can be obtained by multiplying the strain into corresponding Young's modulus. If I do so, I am going to get the stress value. That means the first part of the discussion, what we say, if a material which is free to expand, and then it's a single material, isotropic and homogeneous kind of material. If it is free to expand, it is not going to have any kind of thermal stress. But if I am restraining the or constraining the or not allowing the body to free expansion, then I am going to put some kind of restriction, and that restriction gives me the resisting force. Once I'll get the resisting force, I'll get the stress. When temperature increases, the same thing has been explained over here. When temperature increases, the material is prevented from the expanding, and therefore compressive stress is induced in the material. On the other hand, when the temperature decreases, the material is prevented. That means if it is a fixed condition, if I heat it, so the material is trying to compress. It will try to compress on both sides, since it is conducting type of material. If I'll hit it, if I'll fixed beam, if I'll hit it, so from both sides it will try to contract. And if it is a conducting material, if I'll hit it and one side is open and one side is closed, then it will try to expand. So it says when the temperature increases in the material, prevented from the expansion. Temperature increase means the material will try to expand, but I am preventing that expansion. If I'll prevent that expansion, then the stress will generate the compressive kind of stress, because we are not allowing the body to move. We are just pushing it to inside. So if the expansion is prevented, then it is called compressive stress. If we need the material has to expand more, then we need it. That means on the other hand, when the temperature decreases, that means if it is heating and cooling, cyclically I'll get, in case just reverse, in case of mechanical stress, if I'll apply the load along the line, it is trying to elongate, I'll get a tensile stress or tensile strain. If I'm having a tensile stress, I'll get a tensile strain. If I'm having a compressive stress, I'll get a compressive strain. Here it is reverse. Here we are controlling by using the strain. That means I am allowing the body to move or not allowing the body to move. If I am allowing the body to move, then there will be no stress first. If I am not allowing the body to move, then I am hitting the body, I am going on increasing the temperature, influence of temperature I am increasing, and I am not allowing to the body to move. If that, then I am constraining the material's elongation, it will create the stress. When I am constraining the material to elongate, that means I am pushing a restriction to the material not to move, then it will start creating what? Compressive stress. If I am cooling it, instead of that, if I'll put some liquid nitrogen, or I'll put it inside the again, if I'll put it into freely, if I'll the free condition, if I'll put inside the freezer, deep freezer, then it will some kind of compression will occur. We may not able to visualize in the naked eye, but if I'll put some kind of similar kind of situation to measure the stress in a case of cooling or heating, based on that we will get a tensile and compressive kind of stresses. Now the first mathematical expression what we have discussed, and what are the next, if I'll go for, if it is one case what I have talked about, first one is single material. Now the second kind of material we have talked about in a compound section, and initially we have not taken any external force, only heat was the only the source by which the stress is going to develop. The second one is the if instead of one material, then if it is multiple of material will be there, then how to calculate the temperature stress. And if the multiple material with a external loading, then how to calculate the temperature stress. The first part is over. The second part says it's a compound section like this way. That means the epoxy having a lower amount of alpha, carbon has a higher amount of alpha, higher value of alpha, then there is a chance if it is under heating without any boundary condition, or with a boundary condition also, if it will have some heating condition or any heating influence, then if it is going to expand, which one is going to expand and which one is going to contract, I think all of us we know. Then carbon has a higher alpha, then it will try to expand more. If it will try to expand more, then but to maintain the same length, it has to be under compressive load. That means it has to under compressive stress to maintain the length. And due to the amount of heating, since polymer will not polymer have a very less influence on that, so it will not try to elongate, so you have to pull the small amount of deformation is going to change within this same fixture or within the same length, maintain to the same length. In order to maintain the same length, the polymer has to be expanded and the carbon has to, or carbon fiber has to compressed. That means the same stress, you see, you are just increasing the temperature or decreasing the temperature due to the material construction, that is it is going to. And in case of a pen also, what I saw, just now I have shown two different, it's a combination. Through the hub one rod is passing through the one rod is passing through. So this is when it is screwed over here. At this moment, this is the junction. If I am going on heating, this junction is trying to expand. Again, this length may also, due to the heating, inside heating, it will try to expand. Again, this path is, this orifice has been a very small dia, it is not going to coming out. So it will create some stress over there. So all these kind of stresses we can have within any boundary condition, external boundary condition, due to their construction also, that we want to discuss over here. When a compound or composite system, as I said, there are two conditions again. When a compound, first condition, no restraint condition, or restraint condition, only temperature influence is there. Here, due to the construction, when a compound or composite system is subjected to a change in temperature, then different components, as I just now discussed about that, when a compound, it's a compound or composite system subjected to change in temperature, delta T is going to change. Then different components change in length by different amount due to difference in alpha, due to the change in alpha. Now the material having higher coefficient, just now I have already discussed all these points. If the material having higher alpha, it will try to expand more. Hence, to maintain the length, proper length, or the same length, or to maintain the exact length, it has to be under compression. It's the material having higher coefficient of thermal expansion than the other. Hence, the tendency of the material having higher thermal expansion will elongate more in comparison to the lower one. Then if the increase in length is prevented, then the material having a higher coefficient of thermal linear expansion will be in a state of compressive stress, and the other material which will have the less one will under the tensile stress. If no force, there is no external force is there, then how we write? We write the thermal stress is going to develop like this. The compressive stress, the compressive force P in the material, if I'll say, if I'll apply the temperature, then that temperature will be distributed by two different material, carbon and polymer, and the carbon and polymer having their own portion of the temperature will be taken care or taken by in form of tensile and compressive. The final value will be 0. That means they are going to adjust the amount of temperature within them by maintaining the same amount of length. The force equilibrium condition they maintain by utilizing this alpha value. One is under tension, which is having lower alpha, under tension which is having higher alpha will be under compression. And if I'll cool it, the same thing will be reversed. So now the same thing, consider a composite system of whatever we are talking about. Now the composite we are talking about without any restraint condition. If it is under restraint condition, then what will happen? And what is, if there is a you took a, if no force, external force is there, and a combined component will be there, or combined combination will be there, the similar kind of situation is going to be discussed. This slide can be, you can able to visualize. The first part, it has been shown that There are A, B, C first. That means let's say I am having a tube, or a rod is passing through a tube. A rod which is, this is a rod, is passing through a tube. A rod is passing through a tube, and they are, you can see easily, you can see the rod is passing through the tube, and they are attached, or they are just jointed at the end. They are in a fixed end, under a fixed end condition. And let's say if it is going to under a heating condition, it will have, if it has same material, then they'll have same alpha. Or if it is having different material, then it will have different, then if it the same material, then what will do, what will be the condition? Let's say both are steel, then what will happen? Then normally what we take, if a knot is passing through a bolt, knot bolt system has been tightened, it is passing through a tube. So the number of turns I am giving to the bolt, the knot I am tightening, the number of turns I am tightening the knot, then the number of threads it's coming out from this bolt is coming out. That means it is expanding in that line. And the tube, the same number of turns the tube is going to under the compression condition. Here what is happening, when after that tightening, if I am going to heat it, then the this expansion, from the expansion, the similar situation we are going to take. Which one is the tube is under compression, or the, in earlier mechanical case we took, or normally we take the tube is under compression and bolt is under tension. But here if the same material and due to alpha, if the alpha is different, then it is easy for us to understand, because we already decided which has a lower alpha we will take this is as the under tension, which has a higher alpha we will take as the compression. I will first discuss about that, and the other one based on the kind of problem we will solve. During the solving of the problem we will talk about that. Normally we take, if the same material is there and having a similar kind of situation, then the tube, basically the tube is always trying to coming out, or the tube is under compression kind, and sorry, the tube is under tensile kind, and the other one is under the tube is under tensile, and the under the tube is under the tensile kind, and the rod is under compressive kind in case of mechanical stress. But here it is just reverse will occur. You can see if this alpha 1 L delta T, alpha 1 L delta T or alpha 1 T, you can write here this T represents the delta T, as like as the earlier case, the T and delta T will be same. Here the change in temperature, let's say it's a small t, and it will have this alpha, the first material, the tube has the alpha 1, and the tube has the alpha 2, and the rod has the alpha 1. Let's say if it is under heating condition, there is a chance that if the alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2, or alpha 2 is greater than alpha 1, this the second figure based on the value of alpha. And the third figure to maintain the force equilibrium condition, just now we have discussed the earlier slide. So the second part, when we will discuss about the theory on that, here the figure which has been shown in B, it is based on alpha 1 is greater than the alpha 2. Then only there is a chance the whole assembly, the alpha 1 is trying to coming out from the assembly. And this alpha 2, having, since the alpha 2 has the small value, it will try to, it will not expand more, but it will expand, but not like the alpha 1, it will try to expand. Now what will happen, to maintain the same, the reverse what it has been shown, it has to be extended or it has to be compressed based on the alpha. There are two different cases has been shown. One case it will try to go up based on alpha 1, if it is higher then it will go up, or if the alpha 2 is greater then that will go up. So based on that it will be decided, or this force equilibrium condition will be satisfied accordingly, or it will be maintained in that way. So the next discussion will give you the better clarity. When the temperature of the whole system is increased by T degree centigrade or delta T degree centigrade, then the free increase in length in inner tube is alpha L delta T. What is the change in length? We know earlier, whatever we got alpha L delta T, now it has been turned to, since there are two material 1 and 2, the elongation will be termed as alpha 1 L delta T, because the length has been same, length has not been changed more. And the tube is, which is outer part is the tube and inner part is the rod, and the inner tube or outer two tubes are like two tubes are here it is one tube, one tube is tightened by other tube by in terms of thread. Here this tube is tightened over another tube by thread, or it may be the possible that one thread, one by mechanical fit also one tube is pushed into the another tube. If that is the case, then the expansion, the amount of thermal expansion occur alpha 1 L delta T and alpha 2 L delta T. Assuming alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2, then the change in length will be which one is the higher, that amount will try to expand more. So based on that, the difference in increase in length alpha 1 alpha 2 L delta T. Now this difference in difference, because we maintain the same amount of length, that can be eliminated to maintain the same length. If this refill is trying to coming out of the assembly, and this the outer tube of the refill which is containing the refill, it will have less amount of the deformation. It is not as like as or the other way, the refill is having a less amount of the deformation, but the tube is trying to deform. Then alpha 1, there is a mismatch of the strain will occur, and to maintain that, the same is said here, difference in increase in length is this much. That means the resistance resultant movement due to the change in temperature is alpha 1 minus alpha 2 into L delta T. Now the difference amount, this difference amount can be eliminated by, how can be eliminated? But they will generate some kind of force inside. What is that? Now this difference is eliminated by compressing the inner tube. It has to be compressed automatically, or there must be some stress has to be developed, some force has to be developed inner tube. That means by compressing the inner tube and expanding the outer tube, because alpha 1 is greater, it will try to expand more, and the alpha 2 is lower, it will try to expand less. So we need to expand the alpha 1, sorry, compress the alpha 1 and or compress the inner tube and expand the outer tube. Now the contraction in inner tube, the amount of the contraction in the inner tube can be written as delta 1 PL by A, because the force which is applying is the temperature force. So delta 1 is equal to PL by A. Similarly, the extension in the outer tube has to delta 2 is equal to PL by A. Again A2 E2 PL, because the P is which is applying here, the P which is going to generate, it is due to nothing but the temperature. So now the delta 1, the difference in length is eliminated. We need to eliminate alpha 1 alpha 2 L delta T has to be same. The amount of this delta 1 plus delta 2, whatever the value will get, has to be same as the resultant value. So from here we can have a relation between the force which is going to generate, or it is going to put into the come into the due to the temperature change, how much the force or the P is going to generate, it can be decided over here, or it can be seen from this expression. The same thing has been shown here, the same expression which has been shown here. From here we can say the now the next phase, if it is going on increasing, so this P value is alpha 1 minus alpha 2 into delta T or T, any relation you can put, and from here hence the compressive stress in inner tube is how much? Just divided, because inner tube will try to expand, so it will be under compressive stress, and the outer tube will be under. So you can write in this form, the final form, the P1 and P by A1, or the sigma 1 or the sigma of inner tube will be alpha 1 minus alpha 2 into T divided by 1 by E1, or this can be delta T also. By this way we can have the sigma 1 as well as the tensile force in the external tube and the corresponding stress. We can have the stresses in the combined cases or composite kind of construction. Now the composite system, equal length containing more than two components. If it is more than that, then how I will write the same thing by maintaining the strain equilibrium condition. Let's say this is the condition 1 2. In earlier case there are 2, so we can do that in other way, the way we have explained. The same thing, if it is 1 2 3 4, if I am going on increasing, it can also be done by considering 3 different bar having the same length, and alpha 1 alpha 2 alpha 3 E1 E2 E3, alpha 1 alpha 2 alpha 3, total length is L. It is going to be maintained this L. Alpha 1 alpha 2 alpha 3 are the corresponding values of thermal coefficient, linear thermal coefficient of rod number 1, rod number 2 and rod number 3, and E1 and E2, E2, 3 all are the material property of the elastic constant of if all are same material or different material, accordingly this E1, E2, E3 is going to vary. Now the free expansion for all cases, bar 1, bar 2 and bar 3, we know alpha L delta T, alpha 2 delta T, or alpha L delta T will be replaced because L is same and delta T is same. So the value of alpha is going to change. The alpha may be same or different. Here we have expressed by using the alpha different. Now which one is bigger and which one is smaller, we do not know. Based on that we have to take some kind of assumptions over here. The total length delta L, which we have shown a total length L, it has to be expanded or it has to be expanded. Let's say it is expanded a bit delta L due to the change in temperature. Now U1, E2, E3 or alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, based on the alpha 1, alpha 2 and alpha 3, they will have different alpha, and if alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2 is greater than alpha 3, then the alpha 1, the material which is having alpha 1 or the first material or the rod 1 will have a tendency to expand more than the others, and the alpha 2 will have a tendency to expand more than 3 and less than 2, and the tendency of material thin will be less from 1 as well as 2. Let's say, but the total length, change in length is delta L, has to be maintained. Now the same thing has been expressed in mathematical form to maintain, because it has to be adjusted by this delta L only, although they have a different kind of deformation individually, which is alpha 1 L delta T, alpha 2 L delta T and alpha 3 L delta T. So the actual extension of each of the bar will be delta 1 delta L minus alpha. Because why it is, you may ask, why not a delta L plus alpha? Because it is not going to change this L. As I said, if alpha 1 is the higher, then it will try to elongate more. It may be more. If it will go more, then the length L may not be, or the after this length L has been under heated, this all 3 bars under the heating condition, then the total amount of deformation or total amount of expansion occurs delta L, and alpha 1 has the higher value, it will try to come out of this delta L. So whatever the deformation has been occurred, it has to be less than this delta L, then only they will be in a single unit, otherwise they will come out of this assembly. So every single individual displacement, or sorry, change in length or the expansion, the free expansion has to be less than the delta L, and that has been said over here. So actual extension of each bar has to be delta L minus alpha L delta T, delta L minus alpha 2 delta T, and delta L minus alpha 3 delta 3. And strain each bar, we know how to calculate the strain. If I know the change in length, I can find out by dividing the original length, and the corresponding stresses can also be calculated by multiplying their individual values of if once I'll get the values, I can put you see, first of all, this delta L minus alpha L delta T divided by L, the first one, this is the change in length, and just dividing by this L, delta L by L, delta L by L, and delta L by L, and one extra term alpha 1 delta T, alpha 2 delta T and alpha 3 delta T will be associated into that, and if I'll multiply by the E by individual strain, I can get the stresses. Now, as the composite system is in equilibrium, the total strain or the total elongation is not going to have, as the composite equilibrium, the total force must be equal to 0, because it is not going beyond that. That means individually they will carry some amount of the forces. If I multiply the stresses what I got, that means sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3 individual rod. If I multiply there by area, sigma 1 A1, sigma 2 A2, sigma 3 A3, that means P1, P2, P3, whatever the value of the stress loads are going to develop in that body due to the change in temperature has to be equal to 0, because they are in equilibrium, they are not coming out of that. So from there we will have a relation between the strain as well as, or the actual mechanical strain or the induced deformation and their corresponding thermal strain. I think the steps are very simple, or the kind of steps we start from here. It is very straightforward. The steps we are utilizing over here to find out a complex relation, the change in length, total change in length in terms of all three, more than two if it is there, then the change in length can be represented as L delta T into alpha 1 A1 E1, alpha 2 A2 E2, alpha 3 A3 E3 divided by A1 A1 E1, A2 E2 and A3 E3. Or in general, we can write in a general form of n number of bars. Delta L is equal to L delta T summation of I1 to n alpha I AIEI by AIEI. Now, by knowing the delta L, we can determine the magnitude of the stresses. Once I know the delta L, I can know the stress. If I know the stress, I can back substitution all these values. I can get the magnitude of stress. I can get the magnitude of the strain. I can get the magnitude of the forces as well. Now, all these conditions we have said or discussed when n number of systems or n number of rods are attached with each other without any, only thermal stress is there. If a external load P will be there, then how to calculate the same thing? Instead of 0, we will have is equal to P. The whole forces, not only it is equilibrium due to the temperature, now a external force P will become into the picture. That means equal to 0 will be converted. All these calculations, earlier calculation as the same, we'll just put equal to 0 instead of equal to 0, we'll put equal to P. And based on that, we can also, the generalized form we can achieve directly. You see, in earlier case we got delta L general form. What we got, L is equal to delta L is equal to L into alpha L is equal to alpha A delta T AIEI. Instead of here we will get P plus delta T. P will be added up to the whole multiplication of this part. The last part will be a P is going to be evaluated or just to be added to the total system. Here also, if I know the delta L, then I can get the pressure and stresses, the stresses, strains and the corresponding values. And I think by solving some problem, by seeing some example, you can easily able to understand. I believe I can able to make you understand what is the thermal stress, and it is again, it is a condition we always say, if there is no restraint condition, there will be no stress, or no stress will generate, or will not get in a free condition, will not get any kind of stresses, because we are not restraining, it is allowed to move. But it is not true for the case of thermal stress if it is a composite bar. Like a composite or compound condition, due to their construction also there may be some stress is developing, and the stress value may be less, but there will be, without any boundary condition also you can get the stresses. And I think most of the part we have discussed, you can able to understand, and thank you.